It's a real thing.
It's a real thing, and also the battle in the House as far as Speaker of the House and who should take over from Nancy Pelosi. And there's been a lot of a lot of battles there as far as like who should be in control and why someone shouldn't be in there and why the other person should be in there. So she's going to talk about that as well. But we're glad you're here. This is going to be exciting, and so we've got about 20 minutes for you to share this broadcast, because tonight, this is the next version of the escalator down at Trump Tower.
It starts tonight. Tonight is the night. And I think we're going to see another groundswell, another movement, another momentum of another notch wave in the momentum of where this country needs to go.
So what does the left media do tomorrow morning when those morning shows, when they all wake up tomorrow and they see the headline that President Trump has once again announced the 2024 bid? How big is their heads going to explode tomorrow?
It's so funny because they call us election deniers. They're so delusional themselves. I've talked to several leftist reporters that have these crazy...
Okay, hello everybody. Oh my goodness, it's the day. Trump announcing 2024 run for president. I'm here with you and just filled my belly with some Chipotle, so I'm ready to go. Energetic, filled with food. Big moment. Right now, the people doing kind of round-the-clock coverage are right-wing networks like Right Side Broadcasting. That's why we have them on. But don't be mistaken, they are going to be spilling a lot of nonsense out of their mouths. And we're going to catch it all right now. We're here. I had something just a second ago that I barely made it in time to do this, and I'm very happy about that. So sit back, relax, enjoy Trump's third announcement that he'll be running for president. And hopefully this will be the beginning of what we look back on as a humiliating campaign and loss on the part of Donald Trump. Now, of course, this raises the question, now that he's officially announcing, who is the Democratic Party's best shot to defeat him? Of course, it looks like we still haven't gotten confirmation that Biden's not running or that he is running. And so he's still in the mix. And I got to be honest, it's a little strange, the idea of another Biden-Trump matchup. A little strange. What do you guys think in the comments?
And Donald Trump is pushing back on that. So.
Yeah. All right, let's step aside. We got,
all right, here we go.
Looks like they're getting a little bit of maybe an audio check on there. Hey, now's a great time for us to take a quick commercial timeout. When we come back after the commercial, Marjorie Taylor Greene is joining Liz Willis in the studio as we are live. Mar-a-Lago, South Florida. President Trump expected at 9 o'clock. Few minutes. We will come right back. Stick around. We're joined now by Philip with the Birch Gold Group, and it seems like...
Yeah, so I do think, as someone said in the comments, that Newsom would be a good option to run against Trump or DeSantis. Let's see. Here is... sorry, guys. I'm still coughing after my meal. Mike Lindell at this event.
All the fake news. Here we are live at Mar-a-Lago. Look at all the fake news from around the world. I just had a ball with them, talking to almost all of them. They asked me about Ron DeSantis running against Donald Trump, and I said, after tonight, Ron will just endorse him in the morning. You got to believe that. Why would you want to waste all that time, energy, money, and everything else? So very exciting here. And
so the thing about Mike Lindell is he's the prediction king. He just makes so many predictions, but they never come true. And yet he still has people who believe his predictions for some strange reason. Here, let me try to get this live stream back up and running before we cut. Here you go.
Again, that's Trump to 989898. What that will give them.
What I will say is no, I do not expect DeSantis to endorse Trump tomorrow morning, as Mike Lindell just predicted.
Provide the information in terms of how they can protect themselves in climates like this.
We also,
Philip, when you look at what's happening around the globe, it's just not U.S. investors. It's world investors are really nervous of what's going on right now.
you're absolutely right. This isn't just a US issue, it's global. And that means that there are even less options for investors today, right?
I saw this too. I guess his former campaign advisor or manager, Jason Miller, was that his role? Gosh, I can't believe it's escaping me now, but he is kind of giving you an on-the-ground look here as we await Trump's announcement.
He's different, and you can trust what he's saying, that he's actually going to go and fight for him. So you're going to see a lot of that. Steve, it's going to feel a lot more like 2016 as opposed to 2020. And as you see back behind me with the Make America Great Again banner and the other promotional aspects, it very much feels like 2016. And I tell you, Steve, the crowd here, you're going to have behind me hundreds of people, some really good VIPs that are coming, but we already have 200-300 members of the press corps. Every country around the globe is represented. This is a global event, Steve. He's different.
So that's something I've heard Jason Miller repeat multiple times now, that Trump's, really different now that he's making this announcement, and it's going to be very professional, and he's like a new man now that he's going for it again. But I just can't imagine he won't be exactly how he's always been. And it'll be interesting to see, do you think, let's do this. Let's do a poll right now to anyone who's hanging out in the chat. Engage with your audience, start a poll. Will Trump mention 2020 in this speech? Do y'all think he will talk about 2020 being stolen in his announcement for 2024? Because I do think that's a huge turnoff for a lot of what you would call more moderate voters, right? What is this? No. Get away. Making it so hard for me to watch this.
And Scripture tells us. And as President Trump makes his historic announcement tonight, I am proud to endorse him for a second term as President of the United States.
Ooh.
Friends, there are many great women and men who embrace and fight for his policies. They are exemplary public servants and they have my profound respect. But only Trump is Trump. Many
True.
can say that they want to make America great again, but only he can say that he has actually done it already. And that is the best argument that he can do it again.
And guys, I covered this on my show today that just got released to patrons who watch the full show, who get access to it. But try to figure out, as we await Trump making his big announcement, if you can figure out what on earth Herschel Walker is saying here.
Iran, Russia, and they're not talking about trying to charge a tank out in the desert. They're talking about war. And let me tell you this here. If we was ready for the green agenda, I'll raise my hand right now, but we're not ready right now. So don't let them fool you like this is a new agenda. This is not the new agenda. We're not prepared. We're not ready right now. What we need to do is keep having those gas guzzling cars, because we got the good emission under those cars. We're doing the best thing that we can, but we need help. We need help, and those other people not helping us. China not helping us. India not helping us, but yet we're going to do it all because they spending your money. I can promise you, Iran.
Wow. That's, that is something, huh? Can you even imagine what on earth is going on there? And he could be a senator. Hopefully he won't be, but guys, this is so agitating. This is not being very nice to us. I hope everyone's doing well. Do you think there's any chance he just pulls out the rug from everybody and doesn't even announce tonight? That would be entertaining. I think at this point, it's for sure. Gosh, this is spazzy. These right-wing broadcasting networks are just a little bit behind the times, I gotta say. Yeah, very strange. Very, very strange.
DC, that's a really big deal, because when we control the House and we have the majority, we elect our speaker, we're going to have subpoena power, and everyone watching knows exactly what that means. I'm looking forward to serving on the Oversight Committee, and we will definitely be bringing accountability to the people that have misled the American people, have abused their power, and have spent the American people's tax dollars for the wrong purposes and for corruption. So I look forward to those investigations, but subpoena power is everything. But tonight we're going to hear President Trump announce his candidacy for 2024. And here's why it's so exciting, Liz. You and I both have been to so many Trump rallies all over the country, and we know where the American people's hearts are. We know exactly who they're loyal to. They're loyal to President Trump. They elected him in 2016. They reelected him in 2020, and they're going to do it again in 2024. He will be our nominee in 2024. But let me explain what that means. So here in Congress, what Republicans will do over the next 2 years is we will set the agenda, and we will prove to the American people that the Republican Party is the party that is America first, that the Republican Party will be the party that they can trust for their children's future and for the future of this country. The past 2 years have been unbelievable in what we have lived through under the Biden administration and under Democrat control. Americans are fed up with it, with people everywhere hardly able to afford food, gas, rent because of inflation that's crippling Americans, a wide open border that has led to over 5 million people invading our country. We have a daily invasion. Fentanyl killing over 300 people every single day. Crime is out of control in every single city in the United States of America, and no one's ever been held accountable for those BLM riots that burned American cities. We have Americans that have been charged for January 6th.
So of course this is nonsense. Obviously, anyone who actually did criminal acts in the summers of 2020, that was dealt with on a local level, and people were charged with crimes from that time. But what she wants is like a broad stroke assault on anyone who was a part of Black Lives Matter.
But more importantly, we're going to set the stage for President Trump in 2024. Let's outline what that looks like. President Trump is the greatest president that we have ever had in the history of this nation. President Trump brought world peace at a time when we needed it after decades of foreign wars. President Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem and Israel. President Trump put our border security first and started building a border wall. That wall needs to be finished, and our border needs to be secured. President Trump had the strongest economy, the greatest tax plan, and President Trump truly cared about the American people, no matter who they were, rich, poor, or every single identity.
So to everyone hopping on right now, of course, we are awaiting Trump's presidential announcement happening very, very soon. It's scheduled for 10 minutes from now. Big stuff.
He ran
and watching this right-wing network covering it. That's why she's on here.
Will drain the swamp, and he has the list of every single unelected bureaucrat.
He wasn't able to do it during his first term, but I promise he'll drain the swamp if you elect him again.
People that we need to remove from our government. You see, he learned a lesson in his first 4 years. He found out who his friends are and who his enemies are. And those same enemies of President Trump are the enemies of the American people. And this is why I support President Trump in his candidacy. And I cannot wait to work as hard as possible to get him reelected and get him back in the White House in 2024. So I'm so excited about tonight.
Thank you so much. Now, your support for President Trump is clear. You endorsed him earlier today for a 2024 run. But when it comes to the MAGA movement, it looks like there's a divide amongst who they want as Speaker of the House, because we are finally getting rid of Pelosi, which is a huge accomplishment in and of itself. Yes. But when it comes to Speaker of the House and the divide there, whether it's your support for McCarthy or Matt Gaetz' support for Biggs.
I saw that the House is sitting now officially projections wise at 216 to 218 or 216 for the Republicans, and they have to get 218. Do we know if there's still any chance in the world of that going any other direction than just a full Republican majority?
Hard I have fought over the past 2 years. Everyone needs to remember, I have served without committees. I have asked for recorded votes. We have over 530 bills on records because of my work asking for recorded votes, and Freedom Caucus joining me in that fight. Here's something else everyone needs to know. I am going to be completely committed to my same values and same fight that I've shown the entire time. But
It is interesting that she's endorsing Trump right now. I mean, I expected it, but I thought some of these individuals would take a little second to see if DeSantis was interested before they drew their line in the sand, you know?
Already happening. Don Bacon is on record telling the press that he would work with Democrats to choose a speaker. And there are other Republicans that are actively planning and saying they won't allow Freedom Caucus to control who the speaker is. They're going to do everything they can to control who the speaker is. And that means working with Democrats if they need to.
By the way, we are monitoring during this the Russian strikes that landed in Poland. Biden has reportedly called an emergency roundtable with world leaders to discuss that and the possible response to it, because of course Poland is a NATO country. But that's very scary, because 2 people got killed in Poland with Russian missiles. At least that's what Poland right now is putting out. And that could mean some disastrous things for the world.
Voted against her, and she ran unopposed. No one was running against her, and 32 people voted no. But when it came to January 3rd, they voted united for Nancy Pelosi, and we've seen the damage that's happened ever since.
Thank you so much for the super chat from Zolt, who said, thanks for another live broadcast. Big fan of your show and watch almost daily. That is great to hear. Thank you so much for being a viewer. And thank you to everyone right now who's hopping on the live.
Love seeing it. You see, the Republican Party, our conference, has to come together and prove that we can lead in America. And I am very glad to be part of that effort. That's what I want to see happen. Americans all over are sick and tired of the drama in Washington. They elected people, and they're expecting us to work for this country and put Americans.
Yeah, I see people saying, let's not listen to her right now. It's just the question of other networks that are currently devoting all their coverage to what's going on there. But if we can find another feed, I'm happy to hop over to it. I just know a lot of these other ones will continue doing news through... Or here's something pretty important. Biden's addressing the Poland situation that we were just talking about.
The folks at the table. We also discussed the latest series of Russian missile attacks, which are continuing the brutality and inhumanity that they've demonstrated throughout this war against Ukrainian cities and civilian infrastructures. And they've been totally unconscionable what they're doing, totally unconscionable. And the moment when the world had come together at the G20 to urge de-escalation, Russia continues to, has chosen to escalate in Ukraine. While we're meeting, I mean, there was...
Don't worry, I'm watching the actual announcement very closely. If he comes on, we'll switch to it.
We support Ukraine fully in this moment, and we have since the start this conflict. We're going to continue to do whatever it takes to give them the capacity to defend themselves.
Mr. President, is it too early to say whether this missile was fired from Russia?
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it is. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia.
Okay.
But we'll see.
That's good. That's good. That's good news. We'd rather it not have been fired from Russia.
Invoking Article 4 or 5 from NATO, sir?
We're going to probably have a meeting of the.
That's President.
Of the ambassadors. So that looks like we're going to go to next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
That was President Biden speaking from Bali, Indonesia, where the G20 summit is taking place. Let me run through a little of what he said. He said he spoke to Jens Stoltenberg, who's the Secretary General of NATO, and Andrzej Duda, who is the president of Poland, where this object, this rocket landed, and said that the U.S. has agreed to support Poland's investigation into the explosion, said they're going to find out exactly what happened and then figure out next steps. Also discussed the latest Russian missile attacks in Ukraine, which we've been reporting on through the day, that have targeted some key infrastructure in Ukraine, especially around the capital, Kyiv, and around Lviv, which is in western Ukraine, right near the Polish border. You might remember in some of our early coverage of this war.
Okay. Thank you, by the way, to Doug for the super chats as well.
Alone, the support for Kari Lake as governor and the rest of the America First endorsed candidates was overwhelming. So that's...
I will say, Kari Lake's loss in Arizona was absolutely beautiful. Made me so happy. I woke up this morning, I think it was this morning, to that news and had a celebratory yawn. No, was very happy.
The gubernatorial candidate, Brian Kemp, not Brian Glenn, but Brian Kemp, he beat Stacey Abrams. So do you think that we're going to be able to see that another victory for the Republicans when it comes to the Senate race? Do you think that President Trump might get out and do another rally, especially if he announces a presidential campaign?
All right, we are 2 minutes from the official time this shindig was supposed to go down. So any second now, we could be hearing Trump announce his third candidacy. I'm tired, guys. Candidacy for president in 2024. An election in which we are already putting all of our energy and power behind, hoping he will be destroyed.
Cross the line and send him into the United States Senate. And I'll make
in the election, obviously.
Important. You see, Senate elections are every 6 years. This is a long time. Georgia cannot afford, the United States cannot afford to send Raphael Warnock back into the Senate after he's voted nearly 100% of the time for Joe Biden's disastrous agenda.
Hey, by the way, while we're waiting for this to start, if you tune into my clips on YouTube, but are not a patron, I would highly encourage you to become one. Patreon.com/Luke Beasley. By doing that, not only do you support the show and you make what I do possible, you also get access to the full video version of the show. So instead of having to just tune into each story as an individual clip, right when we're done recording the show and producing it, boom, we send it out to the patrons and they get the full show, all the stories, boom, back to back to back. And as well as a weekly bonus show every Saturday. So you get 6 shows a week instead of just 5. If you are a patron at patreon.com/Luke Beasley. And then, like I said, it makes what I do possible. So consider hopping over there and doing that.
I cannot afford that embarrassment anymore. So, you know, Liz, we're going to be on the ground working hard to get Herschel across the line because it's so important for us to get that Senate seat back and put that Senate seat on a mission for America first. And I know Herschel Walker will do that. President Trump, no doubt, will be.
Thank you so much for the super chat from Scott Ward, who said Trump will withdraw from NATO, lead a campaign preying upon those who lost loved ones to COVID, promising war with China. He and Purina want China. I don't know if he'll withdraw, but he's definitely criticized NATO a lot more than other presidents. And is this an entry? Is that what we're seeing right now? Is it beginning?
To fight for that Senate seat, and you know I'll be out there helping on the ground too.
Well, I look forward to seeing you at a rally soon. I have chills also. I mean, when you talk about uniting, it's just so wonderful to see it and see it happen.
Yeah, isn't Marjorie Taylor Greene such a uniter, guys?
Over 350,000 people watching on Rumble alone right now. So I wanted to say thank you, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Jeez, did you say 350,000?
Switch it back over to Brian Glenn, who is live at Mar-a-Lago, where President Trump will be making his big announcement tonight. Over to you, Brian.
There he is. while he's walking in, thank you so much to Sabrina for becoming a patron at patreon.com/LukeBeasley, making what I do possible and getting access to the full video version of the show, as well as the bonus show every Saturday. Thank you so much. Absolutely appreciate it. Here he is. Also, muting this so that we don't get too copyrighted. William Coleman, thank you so much for the super chat. Said fan of BTC and TYT and thought I'd add you. That would be great. Join the family. And Salim, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Do you think Biden has a chance against Trump in 2024? I do think he has a chance, but I would not prefer to see that go down once again.
From sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every...
Gosh, y'all be okay with me. Here, I'll make myself smaller. Keeping this muted until the music's done. It's not the best thing to have. I probably already got copyrighted, so whatever. But there he is. 2024. Here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. But this time, unlike other runs of Donald Trump, you'll have me to go along with the entire way. We will be on this journey together, ladies and gentlemen, and it will be wild. Yeah, if you're hopping in right now, the only reason I have it muted is just music playing. But the second he gets to the mic, we will unmute it. Thank you so much for the super chat from Scott Ward, who said, I meant Putin, not Purina. I did guess that. I didn't know if it was a nickname or not. You want me to sing for y'all? Not that song. It's my guilty pleasure song, as I've said on live streams before. I kind of do like it more than I probably should. Let's see how fresh his makeup is tonight.
Well, thank you very much. And on behalf of Melania, myself, and our entire family, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It's a very special occasion at a very special place. You and all of those watching are the heart and soul of this incredible movement and the greatest country in the history of the world. It's very simple. There has never been anything like it. This great movement of ours, never been anything like it, and perhaps there will never be anything like it again. There's never been anything to compete with what we have all done.
What? What have you done besides... I guess it's true, but not in the way he thinks.
Gentlemen, distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, America's comeback starts right now. 2 years ago, when I left office, the United States stood ready for its golden age. Our nation was at the pinnacle of power, prosperity, and prestige.
He left office during COVID, please.
All enemies and striding into the future, confident and so strong. In 4 short years, everybody was doing great. Men, women, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, everybody was thriving like never before.
Yo, you remember how much you were thriving during COVID?
There was never a time like this. We turned the page on decades of globalist sellouts and one-sided trade deals, lifted millions out of poverty, and together we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. When the virus hit our shores, I took decisive action and saved lives and the U.S. economy. And by October of the same year, America was roaring back with the #1 fastest economic recovery ever recorded. How about that? All of the incoming administration and all they had to do was just sit back and watch. Inflation was non-existent. Our southern border was by far the strongest ever. And because the border was so tight, drugs were coming into our country at the lowest level in many, many years. Importantly, after decades of rising energy costs, the United States had finally attained the impossible dream of American energy independence, which soon would have turned into energy dominance. For the first time in memory, China was reeling and back on its heels. You've never seen that before, because the United States was outdoing them on every single front, and China was paying billions and billions of dollars in taxes and tariffs. The farmers know that because they got 28 billion of it. No president had ever sought or received $1 for our country from China until I came along, and we were getting hundreds of billions of dollars. Many people think that because of this, China played a very active role in the 2020 election. Just saying, just saying.
He mentioned it.
Instead of jobs and factories leaving America for China, they were for the first time ever leaving China for America. Businesses were pouring back because of our historic tax and regulation cuts, the biggest in both categories in history, bigger even than what Ronald Reagan was able to produce, and he produced a lot. China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea were in check and respected. They respected the United States, and quite honestly, they respected me. I knew them well. I knew them well. The vicious ISIS caliphate, which no president was able to conquer, was decimated by me and our great warriors in less than 3 weeks, and al-Baghdadi, its founder, was hunted down and killed. North Korea had not launched a single long-range missile since my summit with Chairman Kim Jong-un nearly 3 years before. We developed a relationship, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Very good thing, actually, because look at what's happening today. My opponents made me out to be a warmonger and just a terrible person who would immediately go into war. They said during the 2016 campaign that if he becomes president, there will never be a war within weeks, and we will have wars like you've never seen before. It will happen immediately, and yet I've gone decades without a war, the first president to do it for that long a period. The world was at peace, America was prospering, and our country was on track for an amazing future because I made big promises to the American people, and unlike other presidents, I kept my promises. I kept them.
You remember that healthcare plan he talked so much about that he was going to get passed? I don't remember that promise being fulfilled, as well as many, many others.
Thank you very much. Under our leadership, we were a great and glorious nation, something you haven't heard for quite a long period of time. We were a strong nation, and importantly, we were a free nation. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. For millions of Americans, the past 2 years under Joe Biden have been a time of pain, hardship, anxiety, and despair. As we speak, inflation is the highest in over 50 years. Gas prices have reached the highest levels in history and expect them to go much higher now that the strategic national reserves, which I filled up, have been virtually drained in order to keep gasoline prices lower just prior to the election. Joe Biden has intentionally surrendered our energy independence. There is no longer even a thought of dominance, and we are now begging for energy help from foreign nations, many of whom find us detestable. Our southern border has been erased, and our country is being invaded by millions and millions of unknown people, many of whom are entering for a very bad and sinister reason. And you know what that reason is. We will be paying a big price for this invasion into our country for years to come. Hundreds of thousands of pounds of deadly drugs, including very lethal fentanyl, are flooding across the now open and totally porous southern border. The blood-soaked streets of our once great cities are cesspools of violent crimes, which are being watched all over the world as leadership of other countries explain that this is what America and democracy is really all about. How sad. The United States has been embarrassed, humiliated, and weakened for all to see. The disasters in Afghanistan, perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, where we lost lives, left Americans behind, and surrendered $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment anywhere in the world. And Ukraine, which would have never happened if I were your president, are something.
Thank you so much for the super chat from Salim. Sorry, I can't answer the question right now.
And even the Democrats admit that. That's something I've seen them admit over and over again.
Who?
But our enemies are speaking of us with scorn and laughter and derision because of those two events. But there are many more. Even just today, a missile was sent in, probably by Russia, to Poland, 50 miles into Poland, and people are going absolutely wild and crazy, and they're not happy. They're very, very angry. Now we have a president who falls asleep at global conferences, was held in contempt by the British Parliament over Afghanistan. Thanks to the words of wisdom, he said thank you to the wrong country for inviting him to a major summit on the environment of all things. They fly for days to get there, and then he calls the country a name that was actually a country on another continent. And he's leading us to the brink of nuclear war, a concept unimaginable just 2 short years ago. You cannot mention the nuclear word. It's too devastating. The Green New Deal and the environment, which they say may affect us in 300 years, is all that is talked about. And yet nuclear weapons, which would destroy the world immediately, are never even discussed as a major threat. Can you imagine? They say the ocean will rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 200 to 300 years. But don't worry about nuclear weapons that can take out entire.
Everyone on the left is concerned about nuclear war. Everybody.
Under Biden and the radical Democrats, America has been mocked, derided, and brought to its knees, perhaps like never before. But we are here tonight to declare that it does not have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. Two years ago, we were a great nation, and soon we will be a great nation again. The decline of America is being forced upon us by Biden and the radical left lunatics running our government right into the ground. This decline is not a fate we must accept. When given the choice, boldly, clearly, and directly, I believe the American people will overwhelmingly reject the left's platform of national ruin, and they will embrace our platform of national greatness and glory to America. Glory. Exactly 1 week ago, our citizens voted in the important midterm elections, and despite a ridiculously long and unnecessary period of waiting, far longer, in fact, than any third world country. Just a short time ago, the Republicans won back control of the House of Representatives. And it was with a great Trump-endorsed candidate, Congressman-elect Kevin Kiley, who is a fantastic person, And I'm very happy it was his vote that did it. But we now won back. This happened just an hour ago. Much criticism is being placed on the fact that the Republican Party should have done better. And frankly, much of this blame is correct. But the citizens of our country have not yet realized the full extent and gravity of the pain our nation is going through. And the total effect of the suffering is just starting to take hold. They don't quite feel it yet, but they will very soon. I have no doubt that by 2024, it will sadly be much worse, and they will see much more clearly what happened and what is happening to our country, and the voting will be much different. 2024.
He's centering this whole speech around how much everyone is in pain, but then his excuse for why the Republicans didn't do good because of that in the midterms is, oh, people just don't feel the pain. They're in pain, they just don't know it yet. They will be by 2024. Mwahaha.
I am too. I do want to point out that in the midterms, my endorsement success rate was 232 wins and only 22 losses. You don't hear that.
That's because he just mainly endorses a bunch of safe incumbents and other safe seats. Sorry. What the heck?
I'm going to use the term fake news media. So we're going to keep it very elegant. But you don't hear that from the media.
You're not supposed to say that.
I think you will, because people are starting to see what happened. That's some score. And in the primaries was 98.6%. But they were still trying to blame me. And the reason for the success and that unprecedented success rate is that the Trump administration changed our nation on trade, on securing the border. We're the strongest, safest border ever in the history of our country. On Islamic terrorism, we had practically, just about, not that I can think of, no Islamic attacks, terrorist attacks during the Trump administration. And in fact, we got along very well with the various countries, including coming up with the Abraham Accords. That's a great thing, the Abraham Accords. But it's because of cutting taxes and cutting regulations at the highest level ever, and on building the greatest economy. Any time in the history of the world, there's never been an economy like we had just 2 years ago. Despite the outcome in the Senate, we cannot lose hope. And we must all work very hard for a gentleman and a great person.
What just happened? What happened? Here, I can cut over to C-SPAN. Just literally give me 3 seconds, y'all. Right here. Something went wrong with there. Alright.
We must remember that Republicans won 5 million more votes, the largest margin in many, many years, over the Democrats. 5 million more votes, that's a big thing. Breaking the radical Democrats' grip on Congress was crucial. So in other words, because of our great congressmen and all of our great congressmen and congresswomen, we have taken over Congress. Nancy Pelosi has been fired. Isn't that nice? I told them, I said, if you just keep a little bit lower standard, you're going to have a big victory. They said, let's win by 40 seats. Let's win by 50. I said, if you win by 2 seats, be happy. But she's on her way to another country right now. She's been fired. But we always have known that this was not the end. It was only the beginning of our fight to rescue the American dream. And it's a word you don't use, 2 words. I don't want to be Joe. It's 2 words, American dream.
Good job.
That was not good what he did. There are a lot of bad things, like going to Idaho and saying, welcome to the state of Florida. I really love it. In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
There it is.
Thank you, kids. Thank you. All of you. Thank you. Thank you. So many incredible friends and family here tonight. It's such a beautiful thing. Some people say, how do you speak before so many people all the time? When there's love in the room, it's really easy, if you want to know the truth. It really is. You ought to try it sometime. Together we will be taking on the most corrupt forces and entrenched interests imaginable. Our country is in a horrible state. We're in grave trouble. This is not a task for a politician or a conventional candidate. This is a task for a great movement that embodies the courage, confidence, and the spirit of the American people. This is a movement. This is not for any one individual. This is a job for tens of millions of proud people working together from all across the land and from all walks of life, young and old, black and white, Hispanic and Asian, many of whom we have brought together for the very, very first time. If you look at the numbers, if you look at what's happened with Hispanic, with African American, with Asian, and just look at what's happening. This is a party that has become much bigger, much stronger, much more powerful, can do much more good for our country. This is a job for grandmothers and construction workers, firefighters, builders, teachers, doctors, and farmers who cannot stay quiet any longer. You can't stay quiet any longer. You're angry about what's happening to our country. Our country is being destroyed before your very eyes. It's a job for every aspiring young person and every hard-working parent, for every entrepreneur and underappreciated police officer who is ready to shout for safety in America. The police are being treated so badly. These are great people. They can straighten out the crime. They're the ones that know how to do it. We have to give them back their respect and their dignity. This will not be my campaign. This will be our campaign all together.
Such a selfless guy, huh?
Because the only force strong enough to defeat the massive corruption we are up against is you, the American people. It's true. The American people, the greatest people on earth. We love them all. And we love both sides. We're going to bring people together. We're going to unify people. And it was happening in the previous administration, previous to the previous. And what was bringing them together was success. Prior to COVID coming in, the people...
Wait, wouldn't previous to the previous be Obama?
People that were so far left, I figured they'd never speak to me and I would never speak to them. But our success was so incredible, like never before. And then COVID started coming in from China. We call it the China virus. Some people call it other things. But it was devastating, and we built it back and did an incredible job. But when people say Republicans or Democrats or liberals or conservatives, I say we can all get together. And we were doing that. That was happening just prior, because the success was greater than this country has ever had. We were leapfrogging China and leapfrogging everybody else, and everybody wanted a piece of it. But just as I promised in 2016, I am your voice. I am your voice. The Washington establishment wants to silence us, but we will not let them do that. What we have built together over the past 6 years is the greatest movement in history because it is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I am running because I believe the world has not yet seen the true glory of what this nation can be. We have not reached that pinnacle, believe it or not. In fact, we can go very far. We're going to have to go far. First, we have to get out of this ditch. And once we're out, you'll see things that nobody imagined for any country. It's called the United States of America, and it's an incredible place. We are Americans, and we do not have to endure what has taken place in Washington, D.C. This is our country, our government, and the corridors of power, they're our corridors. They're not their corridors. These are our corridors. And we are coming to take those corridors back. So from now until Election Day in 2024, which will come very quickly, we'll go, look at how time flies, look how fast it's all going. I will fight like no one has ever fought before. We will defeat the radical left Democrats that are trying to destroy our country from within, and likewise protect us all. We want to protect us. We have to be protected from all of those nations out there that are looking to destroy us from beyond our shores. There are lots of nations that hate us gravely. And that's the problem when they look at us in disarray like we are right now, when we go to them begging for oil and we have more liquid gold under our feet than they have or any other nation has, and we don't use it because we're going to them. It's crazy what's happening. We can't let it continue. Joe Biden is the face of left-wing failure and Washington corruption. He had a big G20 dinner tonight. Everybody flew over to wherever they flew over, and guess what? He never showed up. They're still looking for him. What's going on? G20, I used to love that, the leaders. I used to make deals for our country like you wouldn't believe. It was one, give me the next one, give me the next one. And we got them to stop taking advantage of our country. Every nation took advantage of our country. We renegotiated deals with Mexico and Canada, USMCA. We got rid of the worst trade deal ever made. NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. That's why the farmers love Trump, because we did a great job, but manufacturers also. And we did a deal, we restructured our terrible deal with...
Just say me, don't say they love Trump. That's so weird.
With Prime Minister Abiy, a great man who unfortunately is so sad. He was a great friend of mine, but a great man, loved his country so much. But we restructured and made it a really terrific deal, and with South Korea and so many other countries. And the best of all was what we did to China. We made an incredible deal, but after COVID, I don't even bother talking about it because the devastation that caused for the entire world was too much to bear. I will ensure that Joe Biden does not receive 4 more years in 2020. Can't do it. Our country could not take that. And I say that not in laughter. I say that in tears. Our country could not take 4 more years. It can only take so much. It's all very fragile to start off with. It can only take so much. In 2020, I received the largest number of votes of any sitting president in history by a lot. And we will do it again.
But got less than Joe Biden.
Many have noted that huge gains we have made with Latino voters, and I believe we will set even greater records with this crucial vote in 2024. The Hispanic voter, the Latino voter has been unbelievable. Great people, very entrepreneurial people, and they want security. And everyone thought when I did the wall, I built the wall, and they thought, oh, that would hurt me with the Hispanic vote. No, it helped me because they understood. They wanted safety. They wanted security. And they understood the border better than anybody else. So they were amazed. We started that trend, and now we're continuing with that trend. You look at what we've done in Florida, what everybody's doing now in Florida and Texas, along the border in Texas, when every single community I won every single community. Governor of Texas called. Great gentleman, just got reelected. And he said to me, I'd like to talk to you for a second. Well, he said, you've done something that nobody else has done. You've won every single area along the border. It's the longest since Reconstruction. I said, Reconstruction, I guess you call that the Civil War? That's what I call it? That's what I call it. Governor Abbott, very good man, and he's working hard, but it's horrible because what's happening is they're just sending hundreds of thousands of people right through his state, right through Arizona, right through all of the states. What's happening is they...
Did he just admit that he doesn't know what Reconstruction is?
Will be about issues, vision, and success, and we will not stop, we will not quit until we've achieved the highest goals and made our country greater than it has ever been before, and we can do that. We can do it. Our victory will be built upon big ideas, bold ambitions, and daring dreams for America's future. We need daring dreams. It is not enough merely to complain or oppose. We don't want to be critics. We don't want to be complainers. I never wanted to be a critic. I never respected critics. They tell people what's wrong, but they can't do it themselves. We will win because we will fight with every measure of our strength and with every ounce of our energy to lift up the working men and working women of America and to restore the fabric of this nation. The radical left Democrats have embraced an extreme ideology of government domination and control. Our approach is the opposite, one based on freedom, values, individual responsibility, and just plain common sense. It's common sense. In 2 years, the Biden administration has destroyed the U.S. economy, just destroyed it. With victory, we will again build the greatest economy ever. It will take place quickly. We will build the greatest economy ever. And if you remember, I did it twice. I did it before COVID and then handed off something where the stock market was higher than just prior to COVID coming in. And we did it twice, and we will do it again, but this time we'll do it bigger, stronger, better than anybody can even imagine.
I'm seeing this in the comments, and you guys are exactly right. This is such a low energy, boring speech.
Of the pause, if there is such a thing, is a beautiful thing. But one of the important factors of the pause is that we see how bad they've done. Ugh. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period. Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done. We will immediately tackle inflation and bring down to a level that it was. You know, we were at 0, but actually the best number is 1%. Do you know that? You don't want it really 0.
Yes, we know that, but clearly you don't, because you just bragged that yours was at 0.
Every economist agrees. Don't have it 0. Have it like at 1%. They even say 1 to 2, but I said let's do 1. And we had it at 1%, and we had it there for a long
you just
period
said
of
0.
time. And we had the value of the dollar. We had it so that this country could make a lot of money. And I fought other countries where they devalued their dollar, or they devalued their currency, whether it was the pound or whether it was the yuan or the yen. And I used to fight like cats and dogs with the leaders of other countries because they were stealing from us. When they did that, they had artificial devaluations of their currency. It's a very important thing. I haven't even heard it mentioned in 2 years. That's a very important thing. It's very hard for us to compete when they do that artificially. And they had to pay a big price when they did it. And they never really did it for very long. I said, we're not going to do business with you anymore as a country. And they believed me. And they let it go back up. Instead of putting America last, as the Biden administration has done very, very openly and bravely, because I can't imagine saying, let's put America last. I think it takes courage. We will again
Yeah, you'll remember that? Biden, Harris, put America last. That campaign message. Ew, Roger Stone.
Every policy Thank you very much.
This is boring.
We do love our country, isn't it? That's why we're here. I didn't need this. I had a very nice, easy life. This is something I didn't need, and a lot of you people don't need either, but we love our country, and we have to take care of our country. We have to save our country. Every policy must be geared toward that which supports the American worker, the American family, and businesses both large and small, and allows our country to compete with other nations on a very level playing field, which we never had until I came along and the Trump administration came along, and now we're losing it. They're moving back into China. They're moving back into these other countries. It's horrible. That means low taxes, low regulations, and fair trade, much of which I've already completed, but now will even greatly enhance. Other countries should pay for the privilege of coming into the American marketplace. They have to pay to come into our country and make all of that money, take it away from us. And thanks to the Trump administration, still the best and the biggest country in the world is what we have. We have the best and the biggest. If you remember, for many years, you can look in your projection books, China was going to take over from us as the largest economy in the world in 2018 or 2019. I said, I don't like that timing. And I was with President Xi, who's now president for life. I call him king. He said, no, I'm not the king. I said, yes, you are the king. You're president for life. It's the same thing. But I said, President, you can't do these things. You can't. Remember, they had China 25. That means China was going to take over virtually the whole world economy by 25. I said, that's not a nice sign. I don't want that sign. They took it down. They took down the whole slogan. Probably will be coming back at some point in the near future.
Yeah, so the problems that China is having right now are definitely expansive. Don't have anything to do with what he's saying, but there is a good chance they're going to have an economic downturn. But if that happens under Biden, what is Trump going to give Biden credit for fending off China? No. I mean, it has to do with their economic reality.
You will see inflation dropping. You will see it come down. It's a thing of beauty, and you wouldn't think it's that complicated. Now, what has been complicated a little bit is what's happened to so many other things. I believe originally started by this energy disaster. We were $1.87 a gallon for gasoline, and now it's hitting $5, $6, $7, and even $8, and it's going to go really bad. The socialist disaster known as the Green New Deal, which is destroying our country, and the many crippling regulations that
the Green New Deal has not been passed.
Terminated so that our country can again breathe and grow and thrive like it should. It's very, very much hurting our country. Germany tried it, Germany tried it. They were up for about a year. Remember I sent to Angela. Remember Angela? Do you remember Angela? Nobody's remembering her now. Angela Merkel, I sent her a white flag of surrender. She said, but why do you send this to me, Donald? I said, Angela, I send it to you because this is a flag of surrender. You are getting 78% of your energy from Russia. And when that happens, history has proven that it's not good for Germany. Just take a look over the last 150 years. It hasn't been good. What I didn't know would take place so fast. And Germany closed, as you know, all of its coal-powered plants and its nuclear plants. They closed everything, and now they're building coal plants, and they're building them fast. And China's building a coal plant every week. Every week they open up another, and then they talk about all of the things that they do environmentally. They are watching us die with the Green New Deal, with our windmills and with our solar that doesn't have the power to fire up our great factories and our great plants. They are watching us die, and they're laughing as it happens. Remember, economic security is national security, and that's what it is. We need economic security. That is why we will launch an all-out campaign to eliminate America's dependence on China. We will bring our supply chains, which are a disaster right now. You can't get anything, and good luck getting a turkey for Thanksgiving. Number one, you won't get it, and if you do, you're going to pay 3 to 4 times more than you paid last year. But we will bring our supply chains and manufacturing base back home, as we were strongly doing during the Trump administration, and we will systematically bring back wealth, health, and success to the American middle class and to America itself. Please.
If you're hanging out in the chat, I just did a poll. Will DeSantis run against Trump? Feel free to put what you think.
Feel so guilty having you stand. No. No, you've been standing for the whole event. I feel very guilty. I don't want that to happen. To every worker and family struggling to survive in the Biden economy with inflation destroying your family and your life, this campaign will be for you. Help is on the way. Joe Biden has abolished America's borders. We are going to restore and secure America's borders just like we had them before, best ever. We built the wall, and now we will add to it. Now, we built the wall, we completed the wall, and then we said, let's do more, and we did a lot more. And as we were doing it...
Was that... What? It's finished, but we have more to do on it.
Came in, they had 3 more weeks to complete the additions to the wall, which would have been great, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. And that's when I realized that they actually want to have this disaster known as open borders. Hard to believe, isn't it? But one of the reasons we had so much success at the border was because of the fact that 2 things. We got Mexico to give us free of charge 28,000 soldiers. That helps. And President of Mexico is a great gentleman, by the way. Socialist, but that's okay. He can't have everything. But he's a great man and a great friend of mine. But 28,000 soldiers while we were building the wall. And then when the wall was finished, that's how we set all these records. We have records that nobody can even compete with. Right now, it's a disaster. I believe it's 10 million people coming in, not 3 or 4 million people. They're pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are and where they come from. We have no idea what's happening to our country. We're being poisoned. Within moments of my inauguration, catch and release will be gone forever. Remain in Mexico. Remain in Mexico, which was so important. Everybody came in here, they remained here, and they never left. And you couldn't get them, you couldn't find them. I had a policy, remain in Mexico. And if you think it was easy for me to get the president of Mexico to agree to that, it wasn't. But we got it. And they terminated it, can you believe? So now they come in here, and they stay, and we have no idea where they are. They get lost. And it's very dangerous for our country. And again, I'll say, we're going to pay a big price someday for what they're doing. We will begin the process of safely removing the illegal alien criminals that have been unlawfully allowed into our country. We have no choice. We have no choice. And in restoring border security, we will stop the flow of deadly drugs and horrible human trafficking, which both have been set upon us like never before. The human trafficking, you think of it as an ancient thing. It's not ancient. Because of the internet, human trafficking is worse than it's ever been in history.
Nobody thinks that's an ancient thing. What are you talking about? That's a huge problem that's been going on forever. And we're still dealing with it, yes.
Border. Number 1 port, and we stopped them, and now it's at levels that are many, many, many times what it was just 2 years ago. Biden and the radical left had let loose on this total breakdown of law and order. It was a total breakdown of law and order. I will restore public safety in American cities and other communities that need our help. And if they don't want our help, we're going to insist that they take our help this time. Because, you know, the Democrat governors, these are all Democrat cities. The governors and mayors are supposed to ask for the help, and they would never ask for the help. And yet people are being shot and killed at random like nobody's ever seen before. And we sent in the National Guard and Minneapolis and in other places. In Seattle, we went and we were getting ready to go, and they took over part of the city. And the governors, the Democrats don't want to ever ask to do anything because they don't want to shake things up. In the meantime, the cities are rotting, and they are indeed cesspools of blood. So we're going to go and help them even if they don't want the help. We will give our police back their authority, resources, power, legal protection, and we will give them back their respect. They're great people. And I will immediately launch a no-holds-barred national campaign to dismantle the gangs and clean out the nests of organized street crime. You know, the worst criminals, the worst gangs are MS-13. And under the Barack Hussein Obama administration, they were unable to take them out because their countries where they came from wouldn't take them. And I learned about that in my first day, I actually say. But I learned about it, and I said, which countries? And it was Honduras and Guatemala. It was El Salvador, some others. And I said, how much do we pay them? Sir, you pay them $750 million a year. That's a lot of money. I said, all right, stop payment. We're not paying them anymore because they wouldn't accept them. They would put planes on the runway. So when our plane would come out with these gang members from MS-13, the plane couldn't land because other planes were on the runway. The buses weren't allowed to get through their borders because they had stronger borders than we did by far. They had borders. We don't have borders. They had borders. Other countries that we defend have borders. We defend other countries' borders, but we don't defend our own. But these countries...
Not true.
And I got to know all of the presidents and prime ministers. I got to know them all. And I said, all right, stop payment of the $750 million a year. They won't take them. And you could not get anybody back in because they sent them out. They didn't just come out. They sent them out. They don't want the bad ones. They want to keep their good ones. They don't want the bad ones. These are gang members that will kill, and they like using knives because a knife is more painful than a gun. You've read the stories. MS-13. These are savages. They say, oh, please don't use.
What is even going on? My goodness. This is quite bizarre.
And I said, stop payment of the $750.
Get back on the teleprompter, dude.
The next morning from the presidents of every country that we're talking about. Sir, there seems to be a misunderstanding. What's the problem? Is there anything we can do? Yeah, you're not taking your MS-13 gang members back that you sent to us. In the caravans, I love the name. I came up with it. I love the name. The caravans, thousands and thousands of people. And in those caravans, you have some rough people. I said, you're not taking them back. Well, we didn't know that this was a problem, sir. Is there anything we can do? I said, yeah, take them back. We would be glad to take them back, sir. They took them back. I still didn't give them the $750, but that's okay. And by the way, now Biden wants to give them $4 billion. They were happy with $750, and now they want to give them $4 billion. Somebody someday is going to explain that one to me. It actually...
Everyone, click the like button, please.
Anger when you hear that. They wanted $750 so badly, and now they're getting $4 billion. We will wage war upon the cartels and stop the fentanyl and deadly drugs from killing 200,000 Americans per year. And I will ask Congress for legislation ensuring that drug dealers and human traffickers, these are terrible, terrible, horrible people who are responsible for death, carnage, and crime all over our country. Every drug dealer during his or her life on average will kill 500 people with the drugs they sell, not to mention the destruction of families. But we're going to be asking everyone who sells drugs, gets caught selling drugs, to receive the death penalty for their heinous acts, because it's the only way. We don't need any more blue ribbon committees. We don't need, I don't like to say this, and I don't even know if the American public is ready for it. And a lot of my people say, please don't say that, sir. That's not nice. They kill 500 people each on average. And if you don't do this, in China, when I was with President Xi, I said, President, do you have a drug problem? No, we don't. He looked at me like I didn't know what I was doing. He said, no, we don't have a drug. How come you don't have a drug problem? He said, quick trial. What is a quick trial? I sort of knew. What is a quick trial? That's where if you get caught dealing drugs, you have an immediate and quick trial, and by the end of the day, you're executed. That's a terrible thing. But they have no drug problem. The only drug problem they have is they make the fentanyl that comes into our country, and I had him stopping it. And then when I was gone, nobody ever mentioned it to him again. We were stopping it. That was way down, that number, but they send it in. But they don't have a drug problem. Other countries, like Singapore, has no drug problem. No drug. You ask them, they don't even know what you're talking about when they say drug problem. They don't even know what you're talking about. They have no drug problem. And why should they sell there and risk their lives every time they sell when they can come to the United States and nobody even cares? They can do whatever they want to do and become rich. It's a disgrace. So if you want to get rid of that and also bring down your level of crime, probably 75 or 80%, that's the only answer. No more blue ribbon. I refuse to create them anymore. They were just a joke. It was New York people wanting to be on a committee for publicity reasons. No more blue ribbon committees. That's the only way you're going to solve the problem. And I hope politicians are listening because they should do it quickly. Joe Biden has also proven that he is committed to indoctrinating our children, even using the Department of Justice against parents who object. It's a terrible thing. It's so sad what's happening.
Boo.
When I'm in the White House, our schools will cease pushing critical race theory as they were.
I just read a story about a teacher who said that his race, being white, was superior in a class and got fired for it. And it's like, if we did what the right did, we would make that story emblematic of our entire education system being horrible and corrupt and terrible, because they take one story and extrapolate an entire message off of it without looking at broader sets of research.
In sports, is that okay? No men.
And to be clear, none of the stories they tell are anywhere close to that story that just happened.
My people
That's
tell me,
close to
sir,
bad.
that's politically incorrect to say. I said, that's okay, I'll say it anyway if you don't mind. We've had tremendous problems, and you know, it's very unfair to women, just very, very unfair. We will defend the rights of parents, and we will defend the family as the center of American life. But who would think, standing up here 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that a politician, and I don't like to think of myself as a politician, but I guess that's what I am. I hate that thought. But that a politician would be up saying, we will defend parental rights. Of course you're going to defend it. Who would think that we even have to mention this? Who would think it even should be a subject to be talked about? We have to defend parental rights. Can you believe this?
Yeah, how about the rights of parents to support their transgender youth that Greg Abbott wanted to take away?
I did. And in the first day, they put it back. They signed an executive order and they put it back. It was gone. We will abolish every Biden COVID mandate and rehire every patriot who was fired from our military with an apology and full back pay. Thank you. And they deserve an apology, and they deserve full back pay, and they'll get it. And unlike Biden possibly getting us into World War III, which can seriously happen, I will keep America out of foolish and unnecessary foreign wars, just as I did for 4 straight years. We will again have peace through strength. That's all it is. As events overseas have shown, to protect our people from the unthinkable threat of nuclear weapons and hypersonic missiles, the United States must also build a state-of-the-art, next-generation missile defense shield. We need it. The power of these missiles and the power of a word that I refuse to say, nuclear. We have to have it. We need a defense shield. And we have to do it, and we actually have the technology, and we're going to build it. Just as I rebuilt our military, I will get this done. I rebuilt our entire military, which nobody talks about. When I got there, we had jet fighters that were 48 years old.
All of y'all better be subscribed to the YouTube channel. That was aggressive. Can y'all all make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel? Just check below as you're watching this to make sure that you are.
I've said
with much, much love.
Our civilization are not from abroad, but from within. None is greater than the weaponization of the justice system, the FBI and the DOJ. We must conduct a top-to-bottom overhaul to clean out the festering rot and corruption of Washington, D.C. Thank you. And I'm a victim, I will tell you. I'm a victim. Think of it. The FBI offered $1 million to Christopher Steele, who wrote the fake dossier, if he will lie and say that the fake dossier was true. And he refused to do it, so it had to be really fake. And then they hired somebody, Demchenko, for $200,000 a year to focus on Trump and to get Trump and other things, including the raid of a very beautiful house that sits right here. The raid of Mar-a-Lago, think of it. And I say, why didn't you raid Bush's place? Why didn't you raid Clinton? 32,000 emails. Why didn't you raid?
Because they weren't committing crimes.
Obama, who took a lot of things with him. We will dismantle the deep state and restore government by the people. To further drain the swamp, I will push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress. It's time. It's time. And I will ask for a permanent ban on taxpayer funding of campaigns, a lifetime ban on lobbying by former members of Congress and cabinet members. No, I see what they make. They leave the White House or they leave Congress and they're paid millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. No, you have to have a ban. We want a ban on members of Congress getting rich by trading stocks with insider information. And many of our great members agree with that. They actually agree with that. And of course,
that's a rare thing I actually support, banning the trading of stocks of Congress members.
For elections. To eliminate cheating, I will immediately demand voter ID, same-day voting, and only paper ballots. Only paper ballots.
You'll still lose, my man. It's not going to help.
France just had an election. 36 million people voted. It was all done by 10 o'clock in the evening. No complaints. You had a winner, you had a loser. The loser went home. The winner, he's a friend of mine, nice guy. But he was happy. But there was no complaints. And if there is a complaint, you check it out and you can fix it very easily. You can find out what's going on. No. Paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, so simple. And we want all votes counted by election night.
No, we want all of the votes that were legitimately cast to be counted.
Machines and all of this stuff, and they end up 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. By that time, everyone forgot there was even an election. It's horrible. And this doesn't happen. I said it before.
So the mail-in votes from military members overseas almost never or would never get counted by election night. So are you saying that our military members overseas shouldn't have their votes matter? Trump? Is that what you're saying?
But this is just the beginning of our national greatness agenda, and that's what we call it, a national greatness agenda, because our country can be greater than it ever was. Our country was great. Our country's not great anymore. Our country's a laughingstock right now. But our country can be greater than it ever was before, by a lot. There will be more, much more to come in the months ahead. There are so many things we can do. Many of them are not even hard to implement. The journey ahead of us will not be easy. Anyone who truly seeks to take on this rigged and corrupt system will be faced with a storm of fire that only a few could understand, right? I happen to have some children in the front row. They understand. In fact, my one boy, stand up, Eric. I think he got more subpoenas than any man in the history of our country. So unfair. Al Capone, you all heard of the great gangster? Al Capone got far less. Billy the Kid got almost none. Jesse James, no. Eric Trump got more subpoenas. He's a PhD in subpoenas. They come from Congress.
Sounds like he's doing some fishy stuff.
Abuse that you've taken. I really do. And it hasn't been a joyride for our great First Lady either. It hasn't been a joyride. Stand up, honey.
It's not cutting to her. I want to see.
I go home and she says, they do love her. I go home and she says, you look angry and upset. I say, just leave me alone. Hasn't been the easiest thing, but she's been a great First Lady and people love her.
Admitting they have a horrible relationship.
We will be resisted by the combined forces of the establishment, the media, the special interests, the globalists, the Marxist radicals, the woke corporations, the weaponized power of the federal government, the colossal political machines, the tidal wave of dark money, and the most dangerous domestic censorship system ever created by man or woman, the most dangerous system we've ever had. We will be attacked, we will be slandered, we will be persecuted just as I have been. I mean, I have been, but many people in this room have been. But we will not be intimidated. We will persevere. We will stand tall in the storm. We will march forward into the torrent. And we, in the end, will win. Our country will win. We will win. My fellow Americans, we will join together and reverse this staggering American decline, and it is staggering indeed, and we will again restore the spirit of our nation. And then we must build and raise up a legacy that will stand without equal in the entire history of the world. With your help, we will create communities where our children will grow up safe and strong, and a nation where they will grow up free, prosperous, and well. We will reestablish the principles of hard work and merit and end the scourge of homelessness that is plaguing our beleaguered Democrat-run cities. We will heal our divisions and bring our people back together through incredible success. We will defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We will expand the frontiers of human knowledge and extend the horizons of human achievement. And we will plant our beautiful American flag very soon on the surface of Mars, which I got started. But we need everyone involved. We need everyone's help. We need to look out for one another. We need to be friends. And we need every patriot on board. Because this is not just a campaign. This is a quest to save our country. Talking about saving our country. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am asking for your vote. I am asking for your support. And I am asking for your friendship and your prayers. This very incredible but dangerous journey. If our movement remains united and confident, then we will shatter the forces of tyranny and we will unleash the glories of liberty for ourselves and for our children and for generations yet to come. America's golden age is just ahead, and together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America glorious again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, there it is. Oh, so normal speech, just like his rally stuff, except for announcing. Very boring, very low energy, and some dangerous ideas in there. Wow. I don't know. It's kind of wild that we're going into all this once again. But as I've been saying, this is a very crucial next 2 years. So much about the future of America is decided in the next 2 years. And hopefully he will be eventually defeated. We're going to have to see who is going to run against him on the Democratic side. If he's able to defeat DeSantis, if DeSantis announces. Of course, that's not even fully decided yet. But as I've said, I'll be with you each step of the way, and it'll be quite the journey. Quick note, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you want to be along with me on this journey in the most supportive way possible, you can go to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Link in the description, and become a member. By being a member, you get access to the full video version of the show, as well as the bonus show on Saturday, and you'd make what I do possible. Patreon.com/Luke Beasley is going to be absolutely bonkers, and I can't wait to go through all of the ups and downs with you guys. I'll be doing my show throughout all of it, and it will be incredible. And hopefully it will conclude in a grand and beautiful loss by either him or Ron DeSantis. But with that being said, have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all.